Albert AWOL, the voice of the jungle, broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. Thank you for joining us on episode 188 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom. I'm here with Trevor. We got no Damon this week. Damon is off doing college-y things with his kids. So,
yeah, sure is. Yeah,
college is starting back up again. So,
I don't know if you've I've seen a couple of photos of it, and yeah, he's that's a whole world that I just have no reference to right now. Like I was like wow, like kids going to college, that's crazy.
Like I vaguely remember it from doing it myself, right? Like it's been it's been a long time now, but I remember move-in day and and plus I was I was an RA for a couple of years, so I did that too with that side of things with kids moving in. And
the thing for me was my college was close enough. I didn't move out of my house. So
that's nice. Okay, yeah.
So I never did that period, but like seeing Damon do that with his kids, just kind of, I was like, whoa, like that's that's kind of crazy. But
we should introduce our special guests, right? We should, So after the long awaited return of our good friends Derek and Marissa from DVC Resale Market / World of DVC, I don't know, Derek, your DVC Resale Market is Marissa World of DVC. I don't know how does this break out nowadays?
He's officially known as ruler of all things Disney Vacation.
That sounds like a good title for her to have, I think.
That's what her really long business card says.
We're both DVC Resale Market, but we all fall under the big, beautiful World of DVC umbrella.
I always find myself at the end of the episode, we always thank World of DVC, and for whatever reason, I always want to say World of Disney, and I guess it's because of the store, but there's been at least 2 or 3 times I've said thank you to World of Disney for sponsoring the episode, but
we've done that internally. We've had internal emails go around and people go, yeah, World of Disney, and we're like, no, World of DVC.
I can see that.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, Derek and Marissa have been coming on our show for probably 4 or 5 years now. It has to be, right? It's been a long time.
Beginning, you guys, I think were you our first?
No,
guest?
Technically Nick was the OG, right? Nick
Nick. But the boss. I guess we've been talking to you guys for so long.
It's been a long time,
and it's so great, and it's so happy to be back too. And it's just one of those things that we were laughing about before the show started was like, oh my god, we're coming back, and then Tom made it. Oh yeah, you guys are on all these other shows, blah blah blah. I was like, you know what, you always love your first. Like that's truly, right. This show truly means so much to Marissa and I, and for the whole entire DVC Resale Market and the World of DVC. So your audience is just fantastic. So we're truly happy to be back. So thank you guys.
Yeah, that's we always like hearing that. I mean, I do, we do get a little sad seeing you guys on other shows, but it's understandable. Like we can't claim you guys, and say you can only come on our show. So it's just, it's been a while, and I'm trying to even think the last time you guys were on. I don't know if you've been on in 2022. I can't remember though. Like I have to look back.
As a pair, I don't think we've been on at least together in over a year.
It has to.
Yeah,
be, right?
I think. Yeah. I feel like we had one of you guys on earlier, like at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
I think Derek was on earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Zen has to keep breaking for Zarek. I remember that.
I run the schedule, Derek.
I was just going to say, I don't want to do those other shows, Tom and Trevor, but Marissa makes me because she's the ruler of all.
I hope none of the other
ships me out.
Well, I hope none of our other friends in the Disney podcast community are listening to you say this. They're going to be hurt by this admission. So
we love coming on your show. We love it.
Well, we appreciate that. We love having you guys on. So we love having you guys on, and it's so I know we probably have some new listeners. Not probably, we definitely do, right? So we're always churning through different listeners and different people coming in, and so if you guys want to give us your backgrounds and tell us a little bit about your experience in the DVC world, and you can keep it keep it real quick and easy, and tell us your background and what you do at DVC Resale and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, Marissa. So just take the next 45 minutes and tell them about yourself.
Yeah, just
Here's my.
a tight 45 minutes. Tight. 45.
All right, got it. I'll try to do it in 45 seconds. My name's Marissa. I am here with DVC Resale Market. A little bit about me. I come from the West Coast. So I started working at Disneyland and then jumped onto Disney Cruise Line, which was supposed to be for about 6 months. And I spent about 10 years out there. I met my husband on the Disney ships, and I actually met Derek as well while sailing out there on the ships. And it was being on the ships that I got to know DVC really, really well and thought it's a fantastic program. The staff is amazing. So I left Disney Cruise Line and went to work for Disney Vacation Club in 2014. So officially moved to Orlando, decided to have a land life or real life. So joined the team there, loved that. And then in 2017, my husband and I had our first son. And so at that point, I needed to figure out something that offered just a little bit more work-life balance. And so I joined Nick, who at the time had started DVC Resale Market and was really kind of one of the first people to start a resale company with just putting in all DVC former cast members and just running an amazing program. So it just made sense to transition over to the resale side of the team. And I have loved it here. I work on both the sales side as a sales agent, but I also help with our global world of DVC marketing. So whether that's running different podcasts or some marketing or expo events. And then of course, while I was here, I thought, I need Derek here too. So brought him along with me.
Can I ask you guys that with seeing the Wish being launched and how nice that ship looks? Are you kind of missing being on the cruise ships? Because that ship looks pretty amazing.
I am, just because I did, probably 100, not nearly as many as Marissa, of course, who lived on the boat for 37 years. I did probably 100 cruises. And so, yeah, it's the ins and outs of every single one of those 4 ships. So now I see all these pictures and I'm like, oh my God, look at that. It's all different. It's all new. Everything is different. And then I'm like, wait a second, there's no midship elevators? Are you out of your mind? That just blows my mind to me. But yeah, it looks incredible. I cannot wait to try it.
Yeah, and I stopped cruising when my son was born. And so now I'm starting to get the itch because he's 5 now. So it's I want to go back and bring him on a cruise now. So a lot of that, I think, with all the promotion around the Wish has made me want to just get back on the ships in general.
Yeah, Marissa, I'm kind of in the same place because, my daughter's 4.5, right? And I'm just what's the right age to take them on that cruise where they're going to appreciate it? Because obviously Disney Cruise is pricey, right? So yeah. It's I don't want to take her unless it's going to be something she's going to enjoy. And I don't know what that age is, I don't know where that's at. So, but anyway, I'm sorry. We're interrupting Derek's.
No, you're not. Yeah, I totally get you because I remember with my kids, it was always, taking them on that first cruise is always and Daddy was working on it, but still it was you guys got to enjoy every moment of this. And that's what I would always say with, every guest that I was with on all those cruises, talking about Disney Vacation Club is always my God, you spent so much money to come on that. And just to have families, decide to take time to, sit with us and, sit with me or sit with Marissa and, learn about Disney Vacation Club from a cruise that they spent so much money on was, always very flattering. So I always, took that, to heart and always listen, we just want to maximize your time because again, in a nutshell, I worked for Disney for 20 years up in Chicago. We opened up a Disney Vacation Club preview center. Then I came down here to work on the cruise team and did a whole bunch of cruises. And that's where I met my good friend and neighbor, Marissa. And then we, just decided to, being able to be part of here at the DVC Resale Market where we're all former Disney Vacation Club people with literally 1.8 billion years of experience of working for
feels exaggerated. That feels exaggerated, Derek. Just slightly.
I think that was it. But yeah, we all work for Disney, so we know both sides of the fence when it comes to guests. And being able to do their research for Disney Vacation Club. So that's what we love about what we get to do. So we get to help people buy it. We get to help people sell it. We get to answer their questions. And, at the end of the day, I think I remember Marissa telling me this right before I came on the team when I was still with Disney was Derek, you're going to love, because there's no gray area. It's literally if it makes sense for someone to buy direct, then we'll give them the name to one of our friends that still work there to be able to buy direct. But we're not trying to tell you to buy either way, because, hey, you know what? If it makes sense for you to buy direct, and then you know what? You're going to add on points. Then it's crazy not to add on points with us, but yeah, but it's always, we want to figure out what's best for that guest. And that truly is what I think separates us, and why we, wake up every single day, and why I was blessed to be out with Marissa yesterday. We wanted to do this together today, by the way. So just to let everyone know, because we live very, very close to each other, but Marissa had some issues at home with her computer and whatnot.
Well,
so
the thing is, Derek, for many, many episodes, and if anybody wants to go back and listen for fun, many, many episodes, we've had to share like one earbud of an Apple headset. So we've upgraded here at World of DVC. I actually have like soundproof headset on versus sharing.
Wow.
But the problem is here's the problem with sharing a headset with Derek.
Oh,
Like if I wear one ear on one side and he wears the other, he moves. Like he's probably standing at this point. So he moves and shifts and dances around. And so I would miss half of what you guys were saying because one of the earbuds would be yanked out of my ear.
Yeah, Derek seems like a wild gesticulator. He seems like he's like constantly moving his hands in the air and moving around. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, 100%. She can vouch for that. She texted me yesterday and said, "Hey, you know what? It's a beautiful day. Do you guys have some time? We'll swing by," because we live very close to a lake here, which is known as Lake Butler, which is beautiful. And she's like, "Hey, do you want to swing by and just come down to the pier?" So let me tell you, the best thing to have is never a boat. The best thing to have is a friend that has a boat.
That's true.
The best thing ever, because you jump on, we get to see her amazing husband and her amazing child, and we have just the best time and wakeboard, and then they drop us off and we're like, "See you later." That was it. So, that's probably why she's done with me today. She's like, "Okay, no more."
That's it.
Well,
making up technical issues. Yeah, sorry, you can't come over today because my thing is broken. My computer needs gas.
That's that's how that works. Yeah. But no, truly, it is great to have you guys back on because, like we said, I mean, they've been coming out a long time, and listen, Trevor and I have both bought add-on contracts from DVC Resale Market, and we've both been through the process. I bought 2. And the process is great. Like, listen, they're our sponsor and everything. And we'll say nice things about the sponsor, but honestly, truly, the reason that they're our sponsor, I know Trevor and I would never be comfortable, promoting something that we didn't really care about and think was good. I mean, I don't know about Damon, but probably Damon too. But I mean, their process is so great. They're so friendly. They're so nice, and everything works so well with them. And we wouldn't promote it the way we do if we didn't, think that they were the best out there. I mean, we could. There's a couple other companies that do this, but nobody does it like they do. And honestly, we wouldn't. Like I said, we would get another company to sponsor the show if we thought that they were better than DVC Resale. And plus, Derek and Marissa are the best, so we just have to continue working with them. So
we just love hanging out with you guys, honestly.
And you guys truly have the best audience. I'm not even saying that, but I've gotten to know so many people, from your audience, and I remember even, of course, the great Becky Wells. Came from purchasing with us, and I think she, honest to God, discovered your podcast. I think because one time we were talking with her, it was about a purchase, and it was I mentioned that I had to go and do a taping with you guys that night with me and Marissa are going to go do a show, and she's like, "Oh, what show is that?" And then now you guys have her legally binded with you.
Yeah.
No, we don't. Just
Derek.
No, we don't.
Which is amazing. And she's so great. And just all of your audience is just so great. And we've had so many people over all these years, come and say, "Hey, we discovered you on, the Welcome Home podcast." And again, that's what, Marissa and I love too, is that just reach out to us with questions. It doesn't mean if you, contact us that, I have to buy and I can't, reach out until I have a credit card in hand or anything. No, it's just called reach out to us with all your questions that you have. And, your audience has been nothing short of amazing. So we absolutely love them.
I agree with that. And I can't tell you how often we get emails or messages of people that said, I didn't even know that DVC resale was an option until I heard Derek and Marissa on your show. I didn't even know that, like, you know, what I could do with DVC. I didn't become interested in DVC until I heard them on your show. Like, we get that all the time. So I think it's a great thing to have you guys on, just to educate people about what's out there and, you know, what they can do. And, you know, but seriously, so many people became DVC members because of you guys being on the show. So which is cool for us. And also, yeah, it's just very cool. So
that's Marissa's job as marketing guru extraordinaire. Get the word out.
We try to make it easy on her, you know. It's just
all right.
So I do have some questions that I wrote out because we didn't throw out a questions to the listeners as much, but I did want to kind of get an idea of and Trevor, you jump in with any questions you have too.
Yeah.
But you know, I was just curious, like where's the DVC resale market right now? Like the market overall, not the company necessarily, but what's the market looking like?
Go ahead, Marissa. Take it.
Yeah. So the market right now, it's very interesting. So when COVID hit, just to kind of go back a couple years ago, we had this moment of what's going to happen, right? Because for the first time ever, Disney World had shut down for that long of a period of time. And when you're selling a product that's strictly for something that needs to be open, it's a little nerve-wracking. So we thought, hey, are we going to see a slow in the market? And as everything, whether it was Disney or real estate, it just went like totally the opposite. Like the spike in demand went crazy. And so all through like the end of 2020 into all of 2021, it was just like this mad dash for buyers of like, hey, there's a contract. I want it. I want to go to Disney. I might have some money saved from not taking a vacation. This is the best way to do it. So we've been on kind of that roller coaster ride for the last 2 years. And then when 2022 hit, it kind of evened out. And then with that, we've had a lot more sellers go, hey, after the last 2 years, it made us realize, are we still taking the same type of vacation or do we want to do something different? So we've actually seen the market shift a little bit. I would say over the last 6 months, we've had much more of a buyer's market, which is very rare when it comes to DVC resale. So it's been a really great opportunity for buyers to get a really good deal. And I say that in quotes just because there's also the right of first refusal monster that's been like crazy this last year. And so Disney is snagging them up. So it's a fine line between deal and what you can have. But if you're a buyer and you've been saying, hey, I wanted to do this for some time, this is like the absolute best time to start shopping. One, because the inventory, if we looked at the same time last year in terms of contracts, we had about 70 contracts on the site total. If you go to our site now, we have almost 700. So it's like 10 times the inventory. But the good news is, even being a seller, things are still selling. So it's not like things are sitting on the market super long. It's just much more advantageous for being a buyer because you have more inventory. You can negotiate a little bit more. And one little tip is Disney's year, their calendar year starts every October. So when it comes to right of first refusal, oftentimes we see them very aggressive during that first chunk of the year or their year. But once they hit like August, September, oftentimes is when we see those right of first refusal buybacks start to slow down. So if you're saying, hey, I've been looking for a while, I want to snag a contract while there's lots of great options and negotiate, this is really a good time to start looking as a buyer.
So right of first refusal they've been buying back more contracts this year. I mean, like a lot more significantly. Yeah.
So they would average anywhere from about 6% to maybe 15% was the highest we've ever seen them go. Right now, they're averaging about 25% of what we sell each month.
Wow. Do you guys know the reasons behind that? Sorry, Trevor, go ahead. I apologize.
Sorry. Yeah. I was just going to follow up on that with, it's like, have we ever seen this kind of pattern before with right of first refusal? Like, has Disney done stuff like this in the past where it ramps up for a reason?
Never this extreme. So like Derek and I worked a lot of member cruises, and oftentimes we'd see this right around the member cruise time because they'd want to pull that inventory to offer to members on the ship, especially things like Beach Club, right? Or Boardwalk, where it's not readily available. You have to wait list, maybe wait 6 months for. A lot of times for member cruises, they try to pull that inventory. So then when you get on the ship, they're like, hey, by the way, if you buy on here, we have Boardwalk that you'd normally have to wait list for. So we've seen that pattern. I don't know if they have a reason right now. Sometimes they'll do like a sold out promotion, but we also follow the trends of like what Disney's selling directly. And ironically, of all the resorts that they're currently selling, even though they're buying back so much, Saratoga Springs, Old Key West, Animal Kingdom, they're reselling those sold out inventories very, very little compared to like Riviera right now is their number one seller, which is really crazy. So I don't know if they're even offering that to the sales agents, because a lot of times they'll buy back sold out inventory and then not offer it, but save it for some future promotion. So I'm guessing they have something in the waiting.
Yeah, we hear it all the time from people that said, yeah, I talked to a Disney person and I told them that I wanted, Beach Club because I know how hard it is to get. And literally they're trying everything they can to like not sell that person Beach Club, which is, again, with us, which is what we always stress to people is like, listen, we just want you to buy the resort that you need, like Marissa said, like, it's not about just, buying. Like, we don't care if you buy the new, $200 a point resort that Disney's, currently selling. We need to know what you need. That's probably the most important thing because, again, every family is going to be different. And for those families, that come to us and say, hey, you know what? We love the Beach Club. It's our favorite resort. We really want to. And, we talk with Disney and they told us that, sure, we could use our Riviera points at, Beach Club. And technically, yes, you can, but you might get a lot of disappointment at that, 7-month window of trying to be able to book the Beach Club. So it really kind of comes down with us is just trying to figure out, we don't care where you buy from, but we truly just want you to buy the resort that you absolutely need. And not everybody has a favorite resort. So we'll figure out and tell you, which one the best one to buy is.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you for all that. Now, I think we had another question on here about, whether it's a buyer or seller's market. I think, Marissa, you kind of already answered that for us. But so thank you. Now, I guess we're going to go into a little bit of reckless speculation here.
Are we?
Thoughts on Top of the World going blue card only?
Well, it is blue card only now, so I'm just wondering
But I guess the speculation is, what are the thoughts around that? Is there, again, it's kind of leaning into, is there a bigger reason why Disney would do that, or what are your guys' experience around this kind of stuff?
All right, so I'm just going to say from my own personal experience, I remember when I bought the boardwalk all the way back in like the late 1990s something. Part of my boardwalk membership was that I could go to a place called the Attic, which is at the boardwalk, which is literally right above Jelly Rolls. For those people that don't know, that's an actual real place. So you can go up there, although you can't now, but part of a membership back then was, and that's what the sales guides were kind of, telling us, was like, hey, you know what? It's awesome. You can go up here when you're staying at the boardwalk. You can go up to the Attic and watch the fireworks. It's an amazing, beautiful venue. And then they were very clear. And in the contract was very clear and specific and said, this access to the Attic is not part of your DVC membership. And sure enough, it is no longer part of my DVC membership. And it hasn't been for many, many, many years, because now it is literally just a private venue that people can rent out for meetings or people can rent out for weddings and whatnot. So that, I think, is probably the bigger thing that, Marissa and I and the whole team here are just stressed to people that, call us up and, want to purchase DVC because of certain things, because of, I need to purchase direct because of Moonlight Magic, or I need to purchase this. We say always the last page of that contract that you guys sign literally says every single perk that you have can be removed and taken away at any time whatsoever, and signed by Mickey and date by the palm tree. So we just always want to stress to people that, any perk, any discount, any of that. But yeah, I always think of Trevor, think of that, the Attic. And every time I walk by the boardwalk, I'm always like, I remember I used to be able to go up there. I want to go up there again. And yeah, so I don't know what's going to happen to Top of the World Lounge. I mean, I see it changing dramatically, where people are upset, like, I can't go up there because I just wanted to, it was like a fun place, like just to sit and like watch the fireworks. And it's like, that's not the point of the play. Like, at the end of the day, it is a business operation. So they don't want.
And that's what I think. So what we've seen, like just even the shutdowns with COVID, right? You've seen everything that's been brought back, and the things that get brought back first were like the highest revenue producing items. And then slowly but surely, the things that didn't produce enough revenue were like the last to come on board, with this being almost like the very last thing for them to bring back. So my thought is this might be a test overall, just from like a revenue side, just because everything I feel like the last 2 years with Disney in general has been so revenue based and so margin based. And if they look at this and go, hey, we're not hitting margins here, let's try one more thing. Let's make it like really a target market, and we'll make our members happy because we've made it like only direct for the ones who bought direct. So we'll make our, not necessarily our members, but maybe like our sales agents selling direct, right, so that they have that other reason to, again, bring people in, again, margins, right? Bring them in by direct. I think it might be a test. And to Derek's point, it might be something that goes away from DVC forever and change to something else.
So you're saying even for blue cards that it might go away at some point?
I mean, this is total like Marissa speculation.
We like this. Yeah. We love reckless speculation.
Not your speculation. No, I 100% agree with you. I think it's going away. This is 100%. I think that they look at that venue and my God, how much could they rent that place out? Seriously, for weddings or for parties or for anything else, versus people that just want to go up, flash a blue card and watch the fireworks, which is awesome. It's great. But at the end of the day, they need to make money. And that is prime real estate. Prime real estate.
That surprised me. That's not the answer I thought you guys were going to give, but what you're saying makes total sense. No, what you're saying makes total sense. I just, in my mind, I'm like, no, there's no way they get rid of that for everybody. But like, you're totally right. Because everything I always heard, and of course, this is always just, rumor. I've always just heard that place has to basically sustain itself. And like, it can fit not that many people up there. Right. I mean, and so if you have all these people that are just coming up for the fireworks and not buying a drink or buying, a piece of cake or whatever, it's going to be hard for them to sustain that. So, which is why I thought it was weird that they shut it off, because I figured they'd want more people up there, the better, right? But like, to your point, this is interesting as a test. Like, do they? Because it is prime real estate, it is a great venue, so yeah, that'll be interesting. That's an interesting thought. I never thought about that.
It really is like super famous in the fact of like, if it, maybe in the old days, not now, but like, you used to be able to, quote unquote, opened up at what, like 6 p.m. It was a ghost town from like 6 until 8:55 p.m. Then all of a sudden the place is flooded. It's swarmed. People watch the fireworks and it's gone. But at the end of the day, you still have people that are working there. I mean, there's waitresses and bartenders, and they don't just want people to rush up to go see a great view of the fireworks. They got to make money. And so what's the best way for them to make money is I don't see this sustaining. I think it's definitely, like Marissa said, it's kind of a step into this direction, and then I think it's going to go a little bit deeper into the pool until all of a sudden it's like, hey, what happened to Top of the World?
Top of the World, yeah.
So I do like that. I like, Derek, that you lead it in with talking about the attic at Boardwalk first, because I think it's really important to highlight that we all look at this stuff as where it is right now. And, us talking about Top of the World, it's like, that's for me as a DVC member, Top of the World's just been there. I don't have any reference to like, what was there before. And I think, a lot of people listening to this, may be freaking out going, oh my gosh, they're taking it away. What is Disney doing? But the thing is that if that goes away, there's something else that's going to come.
Sure.
Like, I think that's the part that people forget is, they keep talking about, they keep looking at all the things that Disney takes away, but new things do come. And Disney, it's like both of you said, Disney wants to, highlight things in such a way, hey, there's a value in, getting DVC because, you'll have, this perk or that perk. But again, the perks are supposed to be temporary. So, I can't see them taking this away and, not having something else lined up. And again, it's not like an immediate 1-for-1 thing, but I can see them, you guys are right. They could very much phase out Top of the World, but then there could be another new place that comes up, and then that becomes, the next place that everyone wants to go for the first little bit until it becomes like top of the world is now.
That's just, I mean, that at the end of the day, that's just it, Trevor. It's literally, if you're a vacation guide like Marissa and I were for, a long time, you need to know, what do I have in my pocket when I'm talking to those guests? And, being able to pull out that card, be it, way long ago, you get to go to the attic, or now, at the top of the world lounge. There's always going to be something, because they need something. They need that something to say, why should I buy with you for $200, plus per point versus, Marissa has a contract of, $120 a point. So why would I do that? Plus her contract gets me on her boat every single weekend.
Is that how that works?
That's a perk that could go away at any time.
What color is that card? What card do I need? What color card do I need to have to get on the boat every weekend?
Truly, Trevor nailed it, and that's it. I mean, guides. I mean, God bless them. We love them. We still have so many friends that are there. You have to have something in your back pocket. And so when Trevor said, so whatever happens with Top of the World, there will 100% be something else, because at the end of the day, the most powerful card I think that Disney Vacation Club guides have is just FOMO, right?
Yeah,
they just want to plant into that guide's, mindset of like, what am I missing out? What am I missing out? My God, that Moonlight Magic Party sounds insane. I could walk on every single ride, and whenever I want. They don't tell you that it's got to sync up with the trip that you've already had booked, and then you got to get online at 3 a.m. and hopefully like it's just ridiculous. But it's that FOMO, so they will always have that, Trevor. Always.
We've actually talked about that a couple times, because Trevor and I neither of us have been to a Moonlight Magic event because they never lines up with our vacations, and the one that Trevor was going to go to got interrupted by a hurricane. So it's we've never gotten to go because it just hasn't lined up. But, I would gladly give up Top of the World for a lounge in Magic Kingdom, or even a lounge in like any other park. I don't even care. Like, throw one in Hollywood Studios. Those member lounges are far more valuable to me than, and listen, that's not even a moneymaker for them, right? It's just an expense. But those lounges, I love that lounge in Epcot, and I would be like, because Top of the World to me is almost like a novelty. Right? Like, it's like, okay, we went up, because it's not even a good place to watch the fireworks. I've talked about this before. Like, I don't like watching the fireworks from there because
so true.
It's just not a good angle. You don't get to, and like nowadays, with all the shows that they do, the action's happening around you on Main Street, right? So it's like being up there, you don't see half the show. You're seeing the fireworks, but you're not seeing the projections. And, the last time we watched the fireworks up there, we had, there were people, they play the show music through the speakers, but there were people that were talking so loudly behind us, we couldn't even hear the show music. So like, and that's not something that happens when you're watching it in park. So, for me, I'm like, okay, it's cool to do once or twice, but it's not like a thing that I'm going to miss forever if they take it away from me. But I know people will go crazy if they take it away. But but I would love more lounges. Give me more lounges any day. I'm up for that.
You want the little packets of free Cheez-Its, and you're like, darn it, I'm happy.
I care more about the freestyle machine that I can go and drink all the soda I want, and all that. So I did want to ask you guys one question really quickly that I don't think I've ever asked you before, because I think it's interesting. Did you guys, when you were on the cruise ships selling DVC, do you guys really play up the ability to trade points into buying a cruise, or is that not something you bring up a lot? Because we all know it's not a good value, right? So I'm wondering if you play that up as a benefit when you're trying to sell DVC on the ship, or if you just kind of just like, it's something you can do, but you probably shouldn't.
So
I'm
can I jump in here really quick? Because Derek and I cruised quite a bit together. And so if you've gotten to know us a little bit, I'm a little bit more analytical, and Derek is extremely expressive. And so I would go into his office, because our offices would be side by side, and I would see his notes on explaining a cruise, and it would have like a Y for yes all on one page, and then it'd have another page with an X, and then another page where he'd like draw a ship, and that's how he would explain cruising with points. And somewhere at the end, people would just be like, we got it. Whatever you say, Derek, let's do it. Versus me, if you went and looked at my notes, it would be like this number rounded by this. And if you did this and added the baby and went here and tried it the 6 months, you could get this. So you could make it work for some cruises where it made sense. And I think for those families who were literally, they had the points to use anyway, And they were already breaking even on the sense that like, hey, I'm going to Disney World, let's say 5 out of 7 trips, and 2 of those trips I'm going to save for cruises, then ultimately you could argue that those Disney World trips basically paid for themselves. And then you could afford to use those points for cruises. But the exchange is almost impossible to show any sort of good value with. So it was really, really hard. Like even doing all my rounding and numbers and breakdown, like there would be maybe 2 cruises that I would use as examples that could really make sense.
Well, yeah,
that's why I just used a picture of a ship.
Yeah, you're just doodling little pictures of the ship.
Figures and
bingo. And then you close on that 300-point contract from my doodle of a ship.
That's amazing.
but I think like to Marissa's point too, exactly, which is why it's great, because one of the big things that people would always say to us here is like, oh, I was told when I talk about Disney Vacation Club with someone and that I can't use my points on a cruise ship. So by one thing, yes, it's easy just to say, yeah, but it's a terrible use of points, blah, blah, blah. But I think I really want Marissa to at least be able to touch on, which I think was maybe one of the questions too, is like now when people come to us, which is so great, is we don't just have to say, no, you can't use resale points for a cruise. Now we actually get to tell them, you know what? Actually, you can use resale points on a cruise, and you're going to save like 30 to 50% of your points being able to use points on a Disney cruise.
All right. Well, tell us about that. What is that about?
Yeah, so
I did feed it up to you perfectly.
That was a really good like transition right there. It's almost like we're professional podcasts and we know what we're doing.
Amazing. So we just this year our initiative has been World of DVC swaps, and what we really wanted to focus on is areas where members could use their points and be able to make that transition more seamless and then save, as Derek was saying. So, for example, what happens is we help members take their points. They actually will rent them through DVC rental store, but instead of having to rent them, wait for the cash to come in, then trying to book the cruise on their own, we take care of that all in one fell swoop. So what happens is they reach out to our team at DVC rental store. They say, for example, I want to book a Disney Dream Cruise. And our agent over there will say, okay, for a family of 3, that's going to be 350 points. So then they'll go ahead and say, okay, I've got 350 points in my account. I want you to go ahead and book this room at Saratoga for a week in a 2-bedroom. And then for that, they go, okay, and now we're going to book your cruise for you. Now, the cool thing with that, to Derek's point, is when you're doing it this way, on an average cruise, you're saving about 60 to 70% off of what you would by using your points for a cruise. So it's incredible value. You're not paying the $95 transfer fee. And because you're not getting cash out and then having to book that cruise separately, you're not getting taxed on it. And I know we had a listener question, I think Becky put on Facebook about that. So you're not getting that 1099 tax because it's considered a 1-for-1 transfer. So what you're doing is you're taking your vacation and transferring it for another vacation, versus if you normally rent points and then just keep the cash, that would be considered taxable income.
Okay, yeah, so that answers Becky's question, because Becky was asking if you would receive a 1099 for doing this. So
yeah,
and it's not just cruises, right? Like, so now you guys can do Universal, right? So like you can use your points to book a Universal trip now, right?
Yeah, so it's amazing. So you can do Universal. What I love about Universal is it covers everything. So it covers your room, it covers your tickets, and it covers your express passes. So that's one really great thing that we've had a lot of feedback from members. Now, we don't have the Disney side yet, but a lot of members have said, I just want to use my points and not think about the out of pocket. Because I think these days, everything feels like nickel and diming, right? Whether you're adding on the Genie Plus or the tickets or the meals. Whereas with the Universal, you can just take your points and have everything covered. So we've got Universal. We have our beach vacation swaps. And then we're coming up very soon with some different houses here in the Orlando area for bigger families who want to do those big exchanges, but maybe not use as many points as like a 3-bedroom grand villa. And then cruises, Adventures by Disney, and the Star Wars Galactic.
Wow. Okay. So
okay.
That's Trevor, you're going to trade your points in and do the Galactic Star Cruiser now?
you have piqued my interest, Marissa. Yeah. Well, I'll have to. We've been talking about the Star Cruiser for a bit, and I haven't quite figured out how that's going to work with me and my family. But now that this is an option, that's I'm going to do some figuring on what might make sense there for points.
let me give you one more reason. We just launched as well what we call our World of DVC perks. So we're hoping to grow this even more. But anyone who's purchased with us is part of our World of DVC perks membership. Oh. And so if you have a World of DVC perks membership, so just email us and we can get you set up with it. But you're going to get 50 points to use towards any swap that's 500 points or more. So I know a lot of our listeners have bought with us in the past. So just so you know, you are part of those perks. There's some other discounts that you get throughout. And again, we're going to keep adding to those as well.
Wow.
All right.
Hey, we get some perks, Trevor. We're both customers. We need to get enrolled in this perks program.
I'm glad I bought that contract from you guys. that one episode.
yeah.
During the show.
Yeah.
During the show, you bought the contract. Yeah, I actually think you did do it during because you went on the site and you're like, oh, there's the contract I want. Yeah, that was like right on the show.
Yeah. So we are just a bit of background on that is, my wife and I had been talking about it for a bit. And then when we went on the show with you guys, I was texting my wife and I was like, hey, cause it was one of the rules around, where you could use your points was changing. And that's why you guys are on the show with us. And so I was texting my wife and I was like, hey, this is coming. And she was like, do it. And so, then I was like, I was rushing to try and get that contract in while we were having a conversation with you guys.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Because I think they were grandfathering more people.
We saw that offer come in live and we're like, here it comes. It's coming in. There it is. How much per point? I think the initial offer was like $4 per point. So we had to do a counter offer back. But
yeah, right.
We got it for you.
Well, that was some great information you guys just gave because I mean you guys had told us about like that whole swap program, but we didn't know like all of the deep details of that. So that's some really interesting stuff for people to really like utilize their DVC points in other ways. And it's actually kind of too bad that Damon's not on because he probably uses points for at least going because I know he was going to take a Universal trip at some point. So
We're gonna have to do a whole episode with him swiping his points out.
Oh, that would be so tedious for you guys. I don't want to put you through that. Damon doesn't want to do any effort ever. So with that stuff.
Well, but that's where the like Marissa said, the Universal point swap might be right up Damon's alley if you know everything's taken care of, right?
That's true. That's actually true. That would be easier for him. Yeah, that'll be easier.
I probably should have done that with my points because I just booked my annual Halloween Horror Nights tickets. Oh, yeah. So I just booked that. I go once a year. So once a year is my only time that I ever go to Universal, and it's always on Horror Nights, and I will maximize the whole entire thing, do the Express Pass. I love it all so much. It's a lot of money. And then once I'm done and I leave that park at 2 a.m., I'm like, I'm good.
I'm good for the year. I'm good.
See you next year.
I don't think I brought this up on the show, but I have a trip coming up in October. I'm coming for like 10, 11 days in October. And besides going to Disney, we're going to the Peppa Pig theme park because my daughter found out that existed. So we're going to have to take a trip, which, by the way, I'm shocked but that I did not realize the Peppa Pig theme park is like an hour and some away from Disney. I thought it was going to be like right around the corner. And I'm like,
I gotta go too. I checked it and I was like, yeah, we're not going. We're so lazy here in Orlando because we have so much right here. And I was like, I'm not going to drive all the way that far.
A
whole hour.
Yeah. Well, I just like, I looked it up and I'm like, oh, everything's in like the general area of Disney, right? So, and then I look it up and I'm like, wait a second, why is this in a whole like different place that's an hour away? That's crazy. But now I have to go because my daughter found out that it exists and, she keeps bringing it up. So, but what I was going to say is I
smell a carpool is what I smell. Swinging by Marissa's house.
There you go. Swing by Marissa's house. Yeah, we'll have a family day. Yeah, I'm sure. Luckily, it's going to be one of our off days, and that park's only got a couple rides there, so hopefully we can only spend like half the day there. But I don't think I brought this up on the show.
In the Legoland park, right?
Yeah, it's like separate though, so it's not within. Yeah, it's on the Legoland property, but it's not inside Legoland. It's like its own park, kind of. So
you have to buy a separate ticket to go to the pig park?
Yes. So if you want to go to the pig park. Oh my gosh.
There goes Jeremy making a meme right now.
Yeah, the pig park. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's much cheaper than Legoland though. So like if I think Legoland's like I forget how much it was total, but it's only like $35 for like a person for just Peppa Pig. So it's not horrific, but yeah, it's small. They've got like 4 rides and like a splash pad. I mean, it's not huge, but I mean, my daughter loves Peppa Pig, so we got to do it. So
you got to go.
Well, I didn't want her to know that it existed, and we were watching a YouTube video of something. I think I've been trying to show her YouTube videos of some of the rides that I think she might be scared on, and I walked away for a second, and the video rolled over to a vlogger going to the opening of Peppa Pig Park, and now ever since she's seen that, she's like, "We need to go," and I was like, "No, like I don't want to go," but it's gonna happen. But what I was gonna say is, I think
Marissa needs to work on the swap program, Marissa, to
swap
include
program
the
for Peppa
Pig
Pig.
Park.
You got to include Peppa Pig. Yeah, you got to include Legoland and Peppa Pig theme park. How many points is that going to cost?
Working on it.
She's the marketing director. She'll do it.
Working on it. Nice. Yeah, I mean, if that would include transportation from my Disney resort to Peppa Pig, I'm, so I don't have to drive there. I'm in for that. Get me a bus or something, like get me a van. So, what I was going to say though is I might go to the Horror Nights at Universal while I'm there, because I happen to know a Universal cast member, and they were like, I can get you in for free, and I was like, oh. Maybe we will do that then. If I like the word free, that always sounds good to me. So,
so when are you going, Derek?
Yeah, maybe leave the daughter at home for that, because
she's not going to that. No, she's going to stay in the room with Grandma and Grandpa. She'll go to bed at 7:00, and we'll head out after.
Tell her it's tied into the whole Peppa Park experience, and you'll never watch the pig show ever again.
Yeah, that would be kind of scary to have a Peppa
That's
Pig.
one way to fix it.
It really is. I mean, it's awesome. But Tom, I'm telling you just now, and I know we're going into a Universal rant, but
That's what we do, yeah.
If you're gonna do it and you're gonna go for one night, because again, my brother works at Universal. He's a paramedic, so he's there. So he got us the tickets for the actual, discounted rate, which is awesome. Probably the same rate that you can get, but you have to pay for the express. Like you have to pay, which is more than the actual ticket. I think it's like $150, I think, a person, but it is worth it, because these waits for the houses can be like 1 hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So at least with an express pass, it's worth every single penny, especially if you're just going to go once like I do. I'm in, I'm out. I hit every single house, and then I'll see you next year.
Nice. Okay. Well, yeah, we went on our Universal tangent now, but Becky had a second question for both of you. And she asked, what's the worst coffee of all time? Well, Derek and his wife had some decent beers with us at Shades of Green recently. I'm so glad we didn't invite Marissa for coffee. We ate at the breakfast buffet at Shades, and that swill was actually worse than Joffrey's. Unbelievable. I thought there were people that like Joffrey's. Now, given I'm not a coffee drinker, so I know nothing. I don't drink coffee, but I thought there were people that like Joffrey's. I don't know.
This is her. She's ready to go. She's probably got the spreadsheet ready to go.
Rest is like, ready.
I mean, before I say anything, you guys sponsor Joffrey still sponsors you?
No. You can say whatever you want about Joffrey's. We have no association with Joffrey's.
Okay, all right. Woo. No, I am just. I mean, Joffrey's. I'm not a fan. I'm a big coffee person, so I like to grind my beans at a certain level. I like the gauge to be just right when the espresso's pulled. So I'm really picky on coffee. And so
you're a fancy coffee person. You're a fancy.
Yeah. Yeah. I just like a good shot of espresso, and Joffrey's just doesn't do it. And so then it's disheartening to go to the parks and that's all you've got, unless, they have Starbucks if you can find it in certain locations. But then the whole thing about you have to go in the parks, right? And then these days you have to have a reservation, versus before we would stay at maybe one of the boardwalk area hotels and then walk into Epcot, get coffee, come back. Now you're just stuck. So that's disheartening. And then in the rooms, all you have is Joffrey's. If you go to Alani, all you have is Joffrey's. And if you go on the ship,
he goes to Vero Beach and stays in a beach cottage, right? Vero Beach, in a beach cottage. And she will literally wake up every morning and she drives the 30 plus minutes all the way
I bring my 40-pound espresso machine with me. I have a whole trolley just for the machine and the grinder as I'm going into Vero.
That's amazing. Well, I think her question was worst coffee though. What's the worst coffee?
I mean, on the ship, they still use like the Nescafe, like filler coffee where they just like mix and swirl and then Derek knows this very well because on the ships, we would be able to expense $20 a day. And that could be for like water, food, or coffee. And so, of course, I'm like, well, I'll expense because they had like Illy in the coffee shops, like in the Cove. And Illy's good. It's an Italian coffee. So that's decent. And so I would go and get that. And so we were allowed to do that. Derek would spend $0 of his $20 a day. He would go and get free coffee. And I would be like, Derek, just come and get like a real coffee with me. Don't drink the stuff on the deck that we don't know what's inside. And he was like, no, because then I'd have to do an expense report.
Oh, man. Derek, I'm so on your side on this.
I would just bring like a bucket and go up to like deck 9 and just fill it up with just black coffee and dump some cream. And then I'd see her with like her coffee that was like the size of like a thimble for like $9. And I'd be like, well, I don't know. Look at me. I'm all set. I got my coffee for the rest of the day. She's like, you're gross.
I see. I'm the guy that drinks out of the water fountains around the park. So like, I don't care. Like right. I mean, I don't care. It's free water. Like if it's decently cold, okay, great. If it's a little warm, I'm not going to love it, but at least I'm not going to pass out from dehydration. Like, so yeah, that's how I am. I'm very utilitarian with these things. So
from what I've heard, the pig park has amazing free water.
Yeah, I like how you keep calling it the pig park.
Poor Peppa. Peppa's going to get such a bad rap.
Yeah, poor Peppa Pig.
I don't even know who that is.
You've never seen Peppa Pig? I mean, listen.
No, my kids are older. No,
Derek, do you remember? So Derek got my son. My son was super into Peppa Pig like last year, Tom. I think your daughter's like 1 year younger
like
than
four
my
and a half.
son.
She's like 4 and a half. Yeah.
So when he was like 3, that like Peppa Pig was like it at our house. Yeah. And so for Christmas or his birthday, he wanted anything Peppa Pig. So Derek ordered him this like Peppa Pig where you like fish for Peppa Pig, like they're little Peppa Pig magnets and you fish for them. Yeah. So did you get it off Amazon or like Walmart third party? And this box comes in and it's all in Chinese. They're pigs. They're not Peppa. And like, we don't know how to use it. You can't plug it in because it doesn't have like, it's like international plugs that come with it.
Derek, where did you buy this from? Wish? Like, did you?
I'm taking notes and then I'm going to go down and find my wife and ask her.
That's amazing. That's hilarious.
But now he's into Spider-Man. So now the pig is gone.
That's easier than the Chinese Peppa Pig that you got.
Spider-Man's a little easier. Yeah. That is, in my house, we bounce back and forth between Bluey, Peppa Pig, and Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and Paw Patrol. Those are like the 4 tops, like where we go. Yeah. Around in circles, depending on the day. So
who is Bluey? Who's Bluey?
Oh my! Bluey's like the biggest kids show in the world right now, man. Like
Derek, you're banned and you're never allowed back on.
Oh man, Bluey is huge right now. I'm actually secretly hoping because Disney has the broadcast right. You know, they have the streaming rights for Bluey. I'm secretly hoping at some point Disney buys the theme park rights and make some Bluey theme park stuff because Bluey is a staple in our house. So, and I'm sure a lot of people listening. Yeah.
Is Bluey a dog? What is
Bluey's a dog? Yeah, it's an Australian show that Disney bought the streaming rights to, and it became huge when they put it on Disney Plus, and now it's like the biggest. I feel like it's the biggest kid show out there right now. Probably.
See, my kids grew up and actually went to go see the Wiggles live concert. Yeah, the Wiggles. So anybody out there is going to be listening will know the Wiggles. I still know many Wiggles songs live, but I remember buying tickets and I'm like, I cannot believe I went to like a Wiggles concert at the same place I used to go see like Pearl Jam and all these other bands. And I'm like, I'm in the parking lot. I'm like, oh, I guess no one's like, pre-gaming.
Derek's tailgating the Wiggles concerts.
If I would have been swarmed by parents that are like, I made a killing.
There would have been a lot needing a bit of help for the concert for sure.
It was crazy. I don't even know if the Wiggles are on anymore, but I love them. Like I
know they're still around. Yeah, they're still around. We were actually going to do Disney on Ice this year, but Disney on Ice is actually going to be in my area while we're at Disney. And so we were kind of disappointed in that, but I said to my wife, I was like, we're going to be at Disney. We don't need Disney on Ice when we're at Disney, so,
I'm going to be honest. I am so glad I'm past this phase in my life.
I get that.
But like, I'm just listening to this and I'm like, you know what? My kid's like, he's a teenager, but he's easy. Like I know what he likes. I don't have to like go to Disney on Ice or anything like that. It's
Where did you buy the Easy Teenager, Trevor? I'd like to know.
So
how much was that? Because I definitely don't have one of those.
The trick, for me personally, it's that the fact that him and I are both gamers means I have a language I can speak with him. I think is probably the only way that
That's true.
That works for me.
That makes sense.
If that changes, though, yeah, I'm back in that boat with I don't know what's going on with him. So
you're going to be in the Wiggles parking lot with me.
Yeah, I'll be coming to a Wiggles concert just for the tailgate.
Wiggles concert. All right, so I'm crossing out a couple of our questions. I'm gonna because we're like almost an hour in here. But I do want to answer Dan and Corinne's questions that we have here. And we'll end with Dan's weird question because Dan likes to ask weird questions. Corinne wants to know the best resort to be selling or buying right now. And those might be different answers.
Marissa, do you want to take that?
You can go, Derek.
Yeah, I mean, I would always say like the best contracts of all, if anyone, reaches out to us in terms of, because again, like over 90% of our contracts will sell in, 30 days or less. But certainly if you have, what I like to call the unicorn, if you've got like a beach club of like 100 points or less, or, 75 point boardwalk or something like that, or a small, Grand Californian, those are always crazy popular, just because for people that want to get started and maybe want to go, every other year, or plus people that maybe want to say, hey, you know what, I'm a member. I know it's really hard to get into the beach club. So I think I just want to buy a contract, a smaller one of, 50 to 100 points or whatnot. So we've, if it falls under those realms, those contracts are always super, super popular. And it's not surprising to have those sell within, an hour of being listed at, full asking price. So, but yeah, I mean, we sell everything. And I tell people this all the time, whether you've got a 25-point Vero Beach contract, we sell it. We sell, matter of fact, perfect example. Someone came to me last week with 3 500-point Polynesian contracts, right? 3 500-point Polynesian contracts. Wow. We got them listed. Marissa was kind enough to sell those for me a couple of days ago. And to one person. So we sell everything from 25 points to someone that wants to buy, 1,500 points. So it really we will do it all. We will do it.
And I would say like with the recent changes, and so like when Grand Floridian came like back on the market when Disney opened up the new wing, a lot of people kind of went resale crazy with Grand Floridian and sold out a lot of what we had on the site. So if you are looking to sell Grand Floridian, Bay Lake Tower, those are in super high demand right now. So if you own there, those are really great resorts to consider selling. Polynesian as well always has very strong demand, like Derek was saying. So those are good ones to sell. And I would say buying as well. Now that we're getting into like the 2042 deed coming closer, it makes sense to look at something that has, if you do value the long-term value, best bang for your buck right now is Polynesian. Just when you add in the number, like the current price per point, the years remaining on that deed going to the year 2066, and then it sits on the lower end in terms of dues per point. So Polynesian is actually the best bang for your buck. Plus, when we talk about right of first refusal and Disney going crazy with buybacks right now, they're not buying back at the Polynesian. So it's a really smart buy right now if you're looking for a specific resort.
Where are they buying back at the most right now? What's the
Saratoga Springs, Animal Kingdom, Old Key West, and then Bay Lake Tower. That makes up 70% of what they're buying back.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Anybody that buys any of those, it literally, I mean, it has a target on it. So we, we tell people and we're right up front and just say, listen, maybe they're buying back, say 50% of this, resort or 60% of this, but it still means that, again, 50% of people get that happy email saying, hey, congrats, your contract made it through. So it always feels like when it's your contract that bought back that literally Disney's buying back every single contract. And the fact is they're not, but like Marissa said, it's super resort specific. So I've had many folks say, hey, Derek, what resorts are they not even buying back? And so we tell them, we're like, listen, go buy Poly is a great one to be able to buy back because they haven't bought back any Polynesian or, maybe Alani or maybe some other resorts that are, way, way less than say like a Old Key West, which is going to be like at a 60% buyback. So
what was I just going to ask you guys? Oh my gosh. I'm totally blanking. Yeah. Gosh. Oh, so you saw a lot of people once the new Grand Floridian units opened. So a lot of people were selling their old Grand Floridian and buying into the new direct. Is that what was happening, or
no? So we had Grand Floridian still in the market, and because Disney offered a pretty aggressive discount directly, all of our sellers kind of followed that lead, and they discounted their resale points.
Oh, okay.
And so it was like, if you ever thought of buying Grand Floridian, I mean, the prices were crazy. So we literally sold out like almost all of our Grand Floridian on the site within that week. And so now we're slowly building it back up. But if you're a seller and you own there and you've been thinking about selling, there is good demand for Grand Floridian right now.
Okay. Interesting. Do you want to read Dan's question, Trevor? And then
back into the world of reckless speculation and all that. What are some of the craziest perks rumors that you guys have heard? Like, either things coming up or people like wishing for crazy things.
I personally heard that if you buy resale now, that you get a green card, and that gives you weekend access to Marissa's boat. That's what I heard. So that's what I heard as a crazy rumor, but I don't know if that's
one rumor that we've heard. And so what happened is Disney, you know how they do surveys. So they sent out a survey to some DVC members, seeing if they would be willing to pay for a premium perks membership.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that was one of the biggest rumors. Again, not to say that anything's going to come from that, because a lot of times surveys are just there to kind of get the pulse. But I think that's, in terms of like gossip and perks, that's the latest news of like, hey, is it something we continue for free, or is it something that people are willing to pay a certain threshold enough for, to where that we just have it be like a premium paid option, which is kind of the trend of Disney lately. So I wouldn't put it down completely as them maybe looking into it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I always go back to when I purchased, again, not to bring up the attic again, but I also used to have free valet parking. I mean, free valet parking was a part of your Disney Vacation Club membership. And so, when that went away, it was like, oh my God, I miss just being able to pull into the boardwalk or any resort. Toss them your keys, show them your little member card, and you get free valet parking. That's all gone, which always, has me telling guests all the time, like, listen, don't buy, based on those perks, because again, there's people that bought, and I know there's people in your audience that when you purchased Disney Vacation Club, when it first started back in the 90s, and I think it was all the way through 1998 or 97, but you got free park tickets. So when you purchase Disney Vacation Club, depending and you got the tickets based on how many people were staying in your room. So if you were going to come down and stay at, say, Old Key West, and you got a 2-bedroom that slept 8 people, you would get 8 park hopper tickets for free for your whole entire stay. So yeah, there's many, many members, and Marissa and I would meet them on the on the cruises and all the time, and they'd be like, well, you remember when we used to get park tickets, and now we, give them like a backpack, and we're like, thanks for your $20,000. Here you go.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have for the questions. I would love to talk to you guys about this this timeshare license for Disneyland Hotel, the villas over there. But I want to first do our ad really quickly, and since it's for your company, if you guys want to just hang around for a moment here, we'll do the ad, and then we'll get back into it.
Sure.
All right.
That's good.
All right. All right, so our ad this week is, it's funny. I wish I could have timed this better and had this be for DVC Resale Market, since Derek and Marissa are here, but that's okay. It's all one big company, right? So this week it's for Monera Financial. Monera, a world of DVC companies, the industry leader for financing DVC resale contracts. Monera offers lending with the longest terms available at 12 years, the option of no credit check, instant approval, low down payments, and no prepayment penalties. If you're thinking of purchasing a DVC contract on the resale market, go check out their quick online quote first. You might might be surprised at just how affordable joining DVC can be. Go to monerafinancial.com or call 317-245-8800. And when you speak to them, be sure to let them know that Welcome Home sent you. All right. So I wanted to talk to you guys about this because I thought this was actually really timely. And, so this is coming from our friends over at DVC News. They posted that a timeshare license has been issued to the DVC villas at Disneyland Hotel. And they even posted this nice little timeline of all the resorts in the past, how long it's been from the time that the license was granted to when they actually opened. Yeah, which seems to be like about a year or so. I mean, from what I could tell. I mean, is that accurate, you think?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe like a little bit less than a year, but can you guys tell us maybe a little bit of details about what this actually means? I actually thought it was really kind of interesting too that Florida was the one that issues this license, even though it's happening in California. But I don't know. I guess it's because DVC is based in Florida. I guess, right? I don't know.
Developer. So DVC is the developer, so they're based in Florida. So that's probably why.
It's just interesting to me that it seems counter to what I would think, but. Yeah. But
yeah, so normally like with this, that means typically before they have like the license granted, then the sales agents, they can't talk about the new tower at all. Like people can come and say, hey, I saw this online, or hey, I saw the blueprints for this, or hey, we took a helicopter ride and saw them building this. And the agent has to pretend like we don't know.
Exists.
We
like,
don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
They can't even nod, like blink twice if this is it. Then they could be risking their license. So it's a big deal for the agents to be able to start talking about it.
Yeah, I have to tell you too that because I totally remember along those lines when Bay Lake Tower opened, it literally that building was finished by the time we could actually, just like Marissa said, be able to talk about that's a Disney Vacation Club unit. So she is not kidding. Like literally, like we would have these like same stupid jokes and be like, oh, so that's a DVC unit, right? We're like, I don't know. It could be a Walmart. We're not sure what it's going to be. Blah, blah, blah.
On-site Walmart.
We literally could not say. So Marissa's 100% true. And Bay Lake Tower literally was built. It was literally right next door. Like it was built. And we could not say what it was until that. So yeah, that's spitting facts.
That's really interesting because I actually remember I was staying at Wilderness Lodge and I think it was a non-DVC stay, maybe. I don't remember. But I remember they had like ripped out the whole one side of the building and they had nothing had been announced at that point for Copper Creek. And I remember like asking a cast member, I was like, oh, so like what's going on over there? And the cast member was like, I don't know. Like they were like, I have no idea what they're doing. They're like, we think they're putting DVC rooms there, but we really don't know. And then, of course, eventually they announced Copper Creek and all that. But it's just kind of funny to me. I guess I didn't realize that they literally couldn't talk about it until this happened. But yeah.
So
it's more important on like the marketing and sales side because now they can start marketing it, and like now the sales agents can start talking. Where before they like their lips are sealed.
Yeah. So I guess being that I think, both of you were in DVC or selling DVC a long time ago, I'm looking at these trends from when like the master declaration to when sales information is released. It looks like Disney likes to do this stuff like beginning of the year, like beginning of the calendar year. It seems like they put the stuff in and there's like a plan that they start selling it at the beginning of the year and then, open. Most of these seem to be consistent with opening around summertime, although a couple of them seem to be later in the year. Did you guys find that was the case when you were working there? Like, did you ever notice any of these patterns or was it just, I don't know, like
whatever?
Were you paying attention to that, I guess, would be the question.
Marissa, you want to take that one?
You go, Derek. I'll let you go.
You don't have to answer if you don't want. You can slide past.
It really always kind of comes down to at the end of the day, you don't want, and Disney doesn't want to have too many, live products out there with people to be able to quote unquote think about it. So, when you're a vacation club guide with Disney, you really want to kind of go out there and just be like, listen, this is perfect for you. This is the resort that we have. This is how it works. And this is the price sheet. But if you're going out there going, hey, here's, 4 different resorts, which I think now they probably have more than I think they ever have. I mean, at my time as a vacation guide, to whatever, 20 some years ago, it was like, oh my God, if we had, one, it was a one, and then we had 2. Now I think they have
Riviera,
Grand Floridian, and Alani.
Yeah.
So I don't think with the new Disneyland, it's a totally different demographic, right? I think it's going to be heavy West Coast who wanted the Grand Cal, who now have this opportunity. Very similar to Alani, but now you've got, okay, here's your East Coast, here's your West Coast, and then Alani will still hang out there. But I think ideally in Disney's perfect world, Grand Floridian will sell out before they start selling the towers.
Yeah. And there's such a demand for the Disneyland Tower that it's crazy, because I remember selling the Grand Californian, and literally as a vacation club guide, we could not move it. It was not selling at all. We would get paid more to sell the Grand Californian, which had just insane promotions attached to it, which is always makes me laugh. And I just had yesterday someone reach out to me saying, hey, I want to sell my 200 points at the Grand Californian. We bought it back in, 2009 or 2010 with a promo, and they paid, I think, $100 a point for it. And now it goes for, 250, almost, $300 a point, which is crazy. So yeah, I think now that people know, the value of owning a resort at Disneyland, which is so key, because again, at the end of the day, it's at Walt Disney World, if you own Disney Vacation Club, okay, you might have a favorite, but you know what? My God, you've got 10, 11 resorts to be able to pick from. If I'm a family that goes to Disneyland, crap, I got one. I got one option. One option. So that's why, the Grand Cal is always, way more, per point than anything else. But I've had people even tell me, just about this new Disneyland Tower. I'm not a Disneyland person, so Marissa can probably attest to this more. But I've had people tell me that, listen, we love the Grand Cal just because we know where the Disneyland Tower is going to be. We don't like the proximity. We much prefer the Grand Cal. So I don't know anything about, where the hotels are located, but Marissa, is it a better location still at the Grand Cal?
Oh yeah. I mean, you can't get any better. I don't know than Grand Cal than any DVC resort in terms of theme park proximity. It's the best. Yeah. You can't walk out the back door and walk into a theme park.
When you've had a room facing out into California Adventure, there's nothing that compares to it now.
The closest you can come to it at Disney World is Bay Lake Tower or Boardwalk or Beach Club, right? That's the closest you can come. But it's not even that, because you still got to walk a little while,
Yeah, that's different from so literally my experience with I stayed at the Grand Californian, and it was we walked out of our room, walked down the stairs, and we were in the theme park.
Yeah. It's a little different.
It's nuts.
That being said, though, Trevor, you're still interested in the tower, right? Because
absolutely. I kind of to what Derek was saying is, there is, we originally wanted to get Grand Californian, but the problem was that when we started looking at, the price point was already really high. And, we were looking direct initially, and we found that, we happened to find good timing with getting a poly contract direct, which, turns out that, if we hadn't have done that, I'm so glad that we did, because, we absolutely love the poly. But, this opportunity for getting some points on the West Coast, I'm very interested in when this stuff comes up on the market, and I'll be looking to get some points at the tower, even though and I guess and I'm sure this too, Marissa, it's not, the Disneyland Hotel is not awful, it's further away than the Grand Californian.
Right. All. Yes.
Yeah. but there's still the monorail goes right into Tomorrowland and stuff, which again, it's so different from Disney World. If you haven't been there, it's you're trying to describe Bizarro Land to people that don't know, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you guys think though, like once this comes on the market, even like when it's direct and you're not getting any resale contracts coming in for a little while, I mean, is that going to depress the value of Grand Californian, or is still going to stay up there and still be, an extraordinarily valuable contract?
I think the good news is that Grand Cal is such a small resort. Like there's 48 units there. So the market's never going to get flooded with like, oh, now everyone's done with their Grand Cal. And I think with the big attention put on resale over the past 5 years, I mean, we've seen Grand Cal over the past 5 years go from like the 130s per point when I came on the team resale, all the way now we're talking like it went as high as like the 330s, right? It's back down a little bit, I think, with the announcement of the tower that we've seen kind of a decrease in price. But I don't think it's ever going to be like a Saratoga Springs, right, that has 300 units assigned to it, where you're always going to see a healthy amount of inventory. So the price is going to be much more affected on what's happening direct. Grand Cal, what happened with resale is that so many people who wanted it were able to get it. So many people who wanted out were able to sell at premium prices. So now you just don't see as many people needing to sell it because people who bought it now finally got it for the right reasons. Yeah. So I think we'll still see it maintain that healthy. I think once, depending on what the tower sells for, it may adjust, kind of like the Grand Floridian did. It might adjust a little bit just depending on what the tower sells for. And then I think over the years, as we see like, what are the restrictions on the tower, right? Is it going to be like Riviera, so it will be a little less valuable on the resale market versus Grand Cal has access to the Classic 14 resort, so it might hold more. So all those questions will really be up in the air until we start to know more about the exact details.
Yeah.
So this offer that just came in from Trevor for 1,000-point Grand Cal.
I wish. I really wish I could do that. Right.
Trevor was just saying like last week that you were like jonesing to go back to Disneyland again. Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while for you. So
yeah. I said that on the podcast last week that, I realized like we talk about so much, but I haven't been back there in years now. And I'm really just itching to get back to Disneyland for a bit. So
I do want to
don't know anything about
I'm going on next Sunday.
Oh, wow.
I'm so happy for you, Marissa.
I can't wait. It's been 10 years since I've been back, so I'm super excited.
Oh, wow.
That's great. I do want to note, by the way, so they do mention in this article, this is from DVC News, that the license authorizes Disney to sell 16,952 timeshare weeks, which is the equivalent of 326 vacation homes. And that they're noting that this is a small reduction from the amount that was initially cited as like 350. So, but again, like Marissa said, there's 48 units at a Grand Cal. You're talking about, this is a huge increase in the amount of DVC that's going to be available at Disneyland. I mean, really big increase here. And then, plus these are all going to be pretty much studio villas or the pods. And then they're going to have a couple of the 1, 2 bedroom, 3 bedrooms, but it's mostly seeming like it's going to be studio villas. So
that's right up my alley. So
that's good for you, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, anything else about the tower we want to mention? I mean, it seems like based on these timelines, I mean, now that they've gotten this license, that I mean, sales are not that far behind. It seems like, I mean, like 8-9 months from, or maybe even less than that, based on their history here.
Yeah, I would say we're probably 6 months away. Like 6 months being the minimum. To your point, maybe like 9 months, but we're getting close for sure.
All right, so save up that money, Trevor.
Yeah, but it's been on the plan for a while now. So
yeah, he's ready. Trevor's ready to go for that one. So
yeah. And I think too, people just don't know, what's going to happen with, some of these new resorts when they come on, and, are they going to have, restrictions on them or resale restrictions like the Riviera did, but then the Grand Floridian did not. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens, starting with the Polynesian, which we get asked all the time about, what's going on with the Polynesian? Will I be able to use my, resale points at the, new Polynesian Tower? And we don't know. So until we can speculate till the cows come home, but until Disney makes an announcement, we just don't know. I'm
not gonna lie, I kind of forgot about the new Poly Tower, even though we've talked about it a bunch of times. I keep forgetting about it because it's just so new and we haven't really talked that much. I mean, we talked, obviously when the art came out and the announcement and all that, but I don't think we've talked about it since then. But yeah, that's going to be an interesting question, Derek. I will have to see what happens there, right?
It's so crazy too, because I was just at the Grand Floridian a couple of weeks ago, where I stayed in one of those new resort studios that are right there, right by the Quiet Pro, which are fantastic, by the way.
You like the new rooms? They're nice.
Oh my God, I'm upset. Like, it literally is perfect. They are
great,
perfect. You know, just the room, the location, everything about them is just great. So love it. But yeah, you look, and I remember looking, being so as old as I am. I remember we got married at the wedding pavilion that's right there in 1996. And I look and I go like, my God, I remember when this whole, area by the Grand Floridian, was just pure like beach. Like, there was just beach. And now you see the whole Grand Floridian villas there. And then you look at to where this new Polynesian tower is going to go. And I'm like, I can't even imagine where it's going to go, looking at the pictures of how it's going to fit and all that.
In there. Yeah.
We
talked about that a lot.
I'm super excited about it, because again, that's kind of the awesome thing about being a DVC member is, but yeah, I just wonder how that's all going to fit. And until they, give details of like the layout, and is it going to have its own monorail station, or is it everybody's got to walk over to the Poly or the Grand to get on the monorail or the boat? So yeah, it's never a dull moment in the world of DVC.
Yeah, seriously, especially the past few years, I feel like it's just been so many additions and so many changes, and good and bad, and just there's a lot going on.
It's so true, Tom, because it like literally, I remember being like, okay, here's the pattern of, being with DVC for a long time. It's like, here's the new resort. And then, you know what, for the next couple of years, we're not going to have any news. There's no announcements until the next resort comes out. Now I feel like it's literally like every, couple of months. By God, there's something going on. Something's coming, something's going, something's changing.
Yeah, there's a lot. Actually, you bring up a good point. There's so much stuff in the hopper right now for DVC planning, right? Yeah. Like, yeah, I didn't really think about it until you just said it. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Well, and we even completely forgot about Reflections. Remember Reflections? That thing that was going to happen?
Reflections is going to where the Polynesian is. Literally, if you look at those pictures, it's almost like they're like, well, we got the building, we got the supplies, so let's just move it over there and
just make it a little more Polynesian themed, carve some stuff into the wood,
Put some palm trees on it. That's 100%. It's so true. But it's crazy, because then I think of, okay, so after this, so you've got the Polynesian, and then you've got, the Disneyland Tower, and you're like, my God, what's next? And of course, from what I hear, it's like, are they going to do something to the yacht club? You know what I mean? So is that going to be the next one? Because they're literally, as opposed to building a whole brand new resort, it's just DVC is everywhere, which is awesome. But my God, where else can they go?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You're totally right about that. It's like, where else can they put a property at this point? But I mean, I'm still hoping Reflections happens at some point. I like that area of the park, and I would be cool with it. But who knows? That, like you said, it's a lot easier for them to just build a tower and then take advantage of the existing infrastructure that Polynesian has, instead of building a whole brand new resort from scratch. Definitely a lot easier to do that, right? So,
yeah. 100%.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't have anything else DVC wise, but you guys are welcome to stay with us for the rest of the nonsense if you want, or you can bow out. It's up to you. We don't want to, waste any more of your weekend with our nonsense.
You're not wasting my weekend, but I do actually have to, quote unquote, get to work. So my work shift, because my boss Marissa is actually on this call too, so she knows that I have to go to work.
Is this
unfortunately
is this a part of your job?
All right. No, we love
part,
it.
Just part.
We can cover for you, Derek.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
I do have to head as well, so I'm sorry I can't hang.
No worries. Listen, so can you guys tell us how our listeners get a hold of you? What's the best way to reach both of you? How much they should reach out to you? Should they call you every day? Email you constantly? What do you guys want them to do?
All of the above.
Okay.
Very easy. You can reach us. Our website is obviously dvcresalemarket.com. Send us an email. They're just our names. So mine is Marissa, Marissa, at dvcresalemarket.com. Derek's is DEREK at dvcresalemarket.com. But we love, and whenever we do the show, we always say this, just let us know you came from Welcome Home, because we love that you've heard the show and what you've learned along the way. So make sure you mention that. in the comments, if you're putting an offer in and putting Derek or Marissa, or if you're emailing us, let us know where you came from.
Yes, put that in there, because honest to God, we truly, and I know we make a joke about, oh, we see you guys do other shows and stuff, but truly when you reach out and Marissa's like, hey, you know what, we get to do, welcome home again, it truly means so much. We truly love your audience is just fantastic, and they're so educated and they're so much fun. And you guys, it's truly always been, just one of our absolute favorite shows to be able to do. And the relationships that we've been able to build with your audience and with you guys, over so many years, it's just great. So we truly are grateful. So thank you. So
did you give your email out? I don't know. Did you?
He did. Yeah, I think, yeah. So just Derek at dvcresalemarket.com. And again, if you have any questions, it's not like you have to reach out when you're ready to buy. If you just got a ton of questions and just want to know how this works or how the whole process works or anything whatsoever, just be sure to let us know that you came from, the Welcome Home podcast, and let us know so we can, help to see if DVC is going to be right for you, whether you're buying, selling, renting, or lending. Look at that. I made like a whole jingle right there.
You got a whole thing. Yeah.
All right.
Well, yeah. We love you guys, and we're so happy to have you back on again. And I know our it's funny to me you say how educated our listeners are, because I don't know where they get that from. Certainly not from us. Half the time we tell them wrong information. But but yeah, guys, please reach out to Derek and Marissa. I mean, they're just the best, and we can't say enough how much we appreciate you guys coming on. And Trevor, I don't know if you're going to say something. I'm sorry, but
no, just same thing. Just so glad to talk to you guys again, and look forward to the next time we can have you guys on the podcast.
Yes, and we will all do a meetup at the Pig Park,
Peppa Pig theme park.
Here we go.
I think I'm sick that day, but I'll be in Florida in November, so
I was just going to say you're out of the country that day. You're out of the country.
yeah, I'm out of the country. Sorry,
you're out of the country. Yeah. All right,
would love it, guys. Thank you guys so much. You guys are the absolute best. So we love it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks.
All right, so I mean, Derek and Marissa are so great and so much fun, and so nice to have them on again. It's been so long. They just get us, it's not everybody kind of gets our vibe here. Mm-hmm. And Derek and Marissa just fit in so well,
Yeah, I think the thing is, like Derek said it himself, is we, given the opportunity, we would all just go and hang out and have drinks at a resort, right? Like I love that about them. They're both so much fun.
They really are, and we've talked about this before. Just even when we've had listeners on, or just sometimes, random guests or whatever, not everybody can kind of fit into this and just jump in and have fun with what we're talking about,
Yeah.
But they can always do it. And that's why I appreciate them. So,
yeah, I think maybe, to get a little bit meta for a moment is, we very much run this I always visualize it us sitting at a restaurant having a conversation. It's almost like overhearing, people just talking about day-to-day stuff. And I think a lot of people think that because it's a podcast or it's like a radio show, they don't know how to draw that connection in their head. It's probably the best way to say it. Like they don't realize hey, you can just have a conversation here like you would with your friends. But yeah, I get we're also, we're strangers, people don't know us, and I get that. But yeah, it's nice that, and I think, Derek and Marissa had the advantage of we've been doing this with them for so long that
for years,
they're just comfortable with it.
Yeah. I have to I feel like I need to go back and listen to the first episode that they were on. And it has to be 4 years ago now. I mean, but it was a long time ago. But yeah, I would love to hear if that chemistry was always there. I think it was, but
yeah, I feel that they were. Because I remember we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, I forgot that we had Nick on first.
Yep.
And Nick was great, but I think Derek and Marissa was the first time that we had a dynamic where everyone was just having a conversation. Yeah,
having a conversation. Yeah, I know. And I mean, we've seen a lot of listeners describe our show as just kind of hanging out with some friends talking Disney. And that's what we try to project on this show. And that's, I say try, but like, we don't really try. That's literally what it is. It's like if the three of us were sitting around somewhere and talking about it and you happen to record it. That's the way we want to do the show. And that's always been the way that we want to do the show. And and listen, there are different podcasts that do it differently, right? And are a lot more manicured and careful than we are. We just don't want to do things that way. That's not how we roll. I mean, so
I'm not like that in real life. So I wouldn't project that on this podcast.
Oh gosh, no. Like I can't. It would be a lot. It's a lot harder, honestly, to do a like super professional, overproduced podcast, right? Like that's a really difficult thing to do. And it's not that I don't think that. I mean, we could do that. Like I tried to do that early on, right? And realized early on that that's just not the three of us. Like that's just not how we operate. But that's what you feel like you have to do when you do a podcast. You have to be like perfect. There can't be any sounds in the background. There can't be any, we can't say and which I know drives some people crazy, and that's fine. But this is how we talk, right?
Still work on it.
We do try to be better about it. Yeah, but sometimes you have to have fillers because you're trying to think of something to say, right? So it's anyway. We're going to finish up pretty quickly since we talked to Derek and Marissa for quite a long time. We just have a couple other topics we're going to cover, and then we're going to wrap this thing up.
All right. So first up here is the Epcot Enchanting Extras tours are returning in October.
Yeah.
So what does this all entail? Because I didn't realize that there was a classification of extras tours at Epcot, or maybe this is just a new way that they're branding this stuff.
Yeah, I think it's just a different way that they're branding this stuff. But I think they're just calling it that, right? Like, because this is really behind the scenes tour, and then which I've done before actually, and it's one of the cheapest tours you can do at Disney. And if you like Living with the Land, great tour. Really great tour. Check that one out. I really like that one. And by the way, I kind of forgot that I'm going to be there during the 40th anniversary of Epcot. Like I forgot that it starts October 1st. Like that, I was not, thinking about that. And sure enough, that's when it is. So kind of random, right? So these are returning actually, I think the day that I'm at Epcot, the first day that I'm there. So not that I'm going to do any, but.
So I was going to say, so you'll never get in there because it'll be busy.
Probably booked up. Yeah, it'll probably be booked up. Yeah. But so Behind the Scenes is coming back. And then you also have Dive Quest is coming back, which, if you're scuba certified is great for you. I am not, so I will not be doing this one.
Me neither. I actually have, I don't know if it's a phobia or what, but like deep water legitimately scares me.
Freaks
like
you out. Yeah.
Like I can get in a pool and that's fine. But like the aquarium at Epcot, if I was put in the water, I would panic.
You think so? Like,
I know I would. I don't. I've been to the Pacific Ocean, and I went. I'd go out to trips to the West Coast, and I figured out on those trips, like going out with my friends on boats and stuff like that, I do not like deep water. So
that's understandable. Like I get that, because I would not want to necessarily scuba dive like in the middle of the ocean. Like that would probably freak me out, like the vastness of it all. But like I feel like Epcot is like a place that I could do it, right? Because it's like controlled, right? It's a huge aquarium, but I know that there's walls to this aquarium. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's a controlled environment. Like that's the only thing for me.
Like I said, it's very much an irrational thing, and it's like,
oh, it's fair.
Like
yeah.
Even in like even in the aquarium, I would still have like I would still visualize like the squid from 40 or 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea attacking or something like.
Yeah, you're just floating along,
just out of nowhere. Like, and yeah, I don't know. It's
the memes
yeah, like
writing themselves this week. The memes,
I know.
just.
But this is the thing is, like you said, it's great for people that want to do that kind of stuff, and I'm glad that they're bringing it back. It's just you'll never catch me in there, so don't worry about it.
Well, and then also, if you're not scuba certified, the Dolphins in Depth is coming back to the seas at Epcot. And so this is like a 2-hour dolphin encounter that you can do. But you don't need to be scuba certified for that one. So would you do that one, or no, that one's out too? Like, because you're not
again, you would have to get in the tank, and
yeah. Okay.
Like I said, I don't. I don't think I would be okay with that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like I can't explain it. It's like I said, I know, like you said, it's like an enclosed space or whatever, but it just triggers something in the back of my head that is completely irrational.
I will say it's funny because I just popped this up. I was like, oh man, this would be something cool to do with my daughter. But I figured I probably couldn't do it with her now, right? Like she's probably not old enough to do it now, which is fine.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I would think for something like that, you have to like have a minimum level of like swimming experience or be a certain age, right?
Well, it says 44 inches tall, so there's
no.
I don't see an age restriction here. It looks like it's just a height restriction. So I mean, she's not 44 inches; she's 40 inches, but so she's not far off. I mean, she can do it in the next couple of years. But I mean, and then I looked at the price and I was like, whew. That one hurts. $200 a person is a lot. So we might have to treat ourselves one year and do that. But that's a pricey one. That's a pricey.
If you really like dolphins, yeah. I mean,
well, it's a 2-hour thing, right? So you're paying $100 per hour per person for this tour. That's steep, man. That's a steep one.
It is, yeah.
But I mean, it's a special experience. So like, I think we'd maybe do it one time if my daughter really wanted to do it. But. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad these are more things that are coming back again, right? And they were talking, Derek and Marissa were kind of talking about this too. It's like some of these things that were not necessarily huge revenue generators, they're like the last things to come back, or the things that are, people intensive or require you to be in close quarters with people. And I think these things probably fall more into that, right? Of the close quarters piece or the require the tour guides and all that stuff. And so now that Disney's finally getting back to being fully staffed, more of this stuff is they're not fully staffed yet, but they're getting better, right? So as they get closer to that, and by the way, when I did behind the scenes, my tour guide was one of the college interns, right? So it was one of the college cast members. So that also might have something to do with it too, because now that they're having the college people and the exchange, the international cast members coming back to Epcot, I'm sure that frees up some of their other cast members to do other things, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You're right. It's because, I think right now, a lot of those people that would have been doing these kinds of tours, you're right. They're the people manning the different pavilions in Epcot, really. And,
I mean, they were just regular cast members manning the pavilions. And now with the international folks coming back, now those cast members can work elsewhere. Time.
Yeah. So I did actually, I'm reading through the dolphin tour.
And the dolphin one?
Yeah. And it does say, please note, this is a wading encounter where the dolphins are brought to you in waist deep water. You will not actually be swimming with the dolphins at any time. So, okay, so all right. That makes a little bit more sense because that would be the height requirement. And okay. If you're just getting into a section that's, waist deep, I might consider that again, not for the price, but if you told me that I was just going to be out in like open water, no.
That's a little different. I actually did I did a dolphin encounter in the Dominican Republic, and it was decidedly less nice than this. It was actually kind of depressing, and I feel bad that I paid for it and contributed to the place because it was not a nice place, and it felt
right.
Like the dolphins were not as well taken care of as they probably are at Disney. But I would love to do something like that again. It was a lot of fun when we did it. And I think it was a very cool, thing to kind of interact with those dolphins. They did have the opportunity there to have the dolphin like pull you along, like hold onto its fin and it pulls you along. But that's not something you're doing here at the Epcot one. This is more of like learning about the dolphins and, interacting with them and that kind of stuff. Like, there was no learning at this other one. It was very much like a tourist trap. So not that this isn't a tourist trap, but it's, better than that.
Yeah. Disney at least tries to be educational and, not just, they're taking your money, but at least the animals are not treated horribly.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing, is that Disney gives the animals world-class treatment. So, and for me, I would check this out. Maybe it's a lot of money, but I mean, and all the animal tours we've done in the past, mostly at Animal Kingdom, a big part of the tour that they give you is the educational piece, right? So like it's not the tours are not always, hey, here's an elephant like 10 feet from you. It's like, hey, here's the kitchen where we come up with the meals, and here's how we come up with the meals, and here's the conservation efforts that we're doing. And like it's they really want to talk about that stuff, which is not bad. I find it interesting.
Yeah, totally. That's actually why I go for a lot of these things. Is not like you can go and see animals at any zoo, but having and zoos do a good job of this too. Communicating about what an animal needs and all that kind of stuff. It's I do like that Disney. They could choose not to put the effort into that, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like I very much like the fact that they do.
Yeah, no, me too. I agree. So so this is cool. I'm glad this is coming back, and although I still think the best tour I've ever done was Keys to the Kingdom, which I will recommend to anybody. Keys to the Kingdom, man. You got to do it one time when you're down there. It's so good.
Yeah, once we get over, the initial shock, because again, like me going back this next time is just our first trip back as a family.
So, in a while, yeah.
Yeah, so once I get over that, like we have been talking about doing these tours, and my wife and I agreed when our son was younger, we decided against it because we were like, he's still very much in that, just he wants to do rides and all that kind of stuff. But as he's getting older here, I'm sure we're going to start lining up some of those things because I know he'll enjoy it. I know he's starting to hit that age where it's not just about the next ride or whatever. Like he's paying attention to what's going on around it, and he would actually listen to something like a tour.
Yeah, and I mean, as long as you're not like Keys to the Kingdom is great, as long as you don't care about like quote ruining the magic, right? Like, because you do definitely ruin the magic on that one. You go backstage, you see all of just like the infrastructure, and you get to go to the utilidors underneath, Magic Kingdom, which is cool, but you don't really get to go anywhere when you're down there. You just kind of like stand there while the world moves around you. You know what I mean? So,
well, I mean, I can't imagine like. Yeah, running a tour group through there, I can't imagine is something that they would want to do because there's people working down there, right?
Yeah. I mean, you get to look down the giant hallway that runs, from right below Main Street, but you don't get to walk down that. You don't get to walk through there. You just kind of get to look at it, which is fine.
Right.
It's still cool nonetheless. But also, like you go behind Splash Mountain and you see that the mountain's not real and all that, like all that stuff. So
now I got to ask you haven't watched Stranger Things, have you?
Of course I have. Yeah.
No, okay. So season 3, when they were in the underground facility in the long hallway, were the utilidors like that?
Yeah. Same thing. Exactly the same thing. Yeah. They look just like that.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah. That's why you want to check them out. They look just like that. No, but it is cool. It is an interesting thing to do. And, we also got to see the staging area for the parades and that kind of stuff. You get to see behind, Pirates and Splash Mountain, all that. And so there's some really cool stuff there. I think I told you guys, when we did the tour, we actually were, on the tour with a former Imagineer, was on our tour with us, and we ended up having lunch with him. And, he had designed one of, I think it was Disneyland Paris he had worked on, which at the time was, not Disneyland Paris. But so anyway, that's a good tour too. But I wanted to put on here, and it's too bad Damon's not here for this because he's so psyched about this Moana project. I am too, though. So
I think we all are. So you're talking about the Zach Ridley Instagram pictures for the rock work that they're doing,
the behind the scenes on the rock work, which I am always fascinated how Disney is able to make fake rocks look real. Like how they're able to make concrete look like it's like a real rock,
that's a lot of engineering experience on there.
Well, yeah, and they do this cool thing where they like 3D print these like that mesh wire that's over top of it, and then they cover that with the concrete and they sculpt it and everything, and it's just the process behind it. Like if you haven't watched Imagineering Story, you can get a really good view into how they do the rock work and everything. But And I mean, like, I have not seen Cars Land in person, but I've heard that the rock work, for that whole area is incredible. I mean, they carved like nuts, spent a ton of time on carving the rocks there.
The best way to describe Cars Land is it doesn't feel like a part of California Adventure.
It doesn't feel like, it feels like you're in a totally different place. Like
it's very, you're right. Again, I've seen it up close, and like the queue area for Radiator Springs Racers is, it's nuts. Like the amount of detail, like you said, they put all kinds of little bits and pieces into it that, a lot of it may, most people wouldn't even acknowledge or notice. And the fact that they do all that with, like you said, with concrete is pretty crazy. So yeah, it is. And if you haven't watched Imagineering Story, I highly recommend it. I've talked about it a bunch of times on this podcast, but I mean, Disney basically invented this discipline, this construction discipline of like fake rock building. Like there's like only a couple people in the world that really do this and know how to do it well. And it's kind of an amazing thing. But so Zach Ridley put out these pictures, just kind of a behind the scenes of Journey of Water, which actually, looking at these pictures, we saw the construction, you and I, when we were there for the meetup back in May, but I mean, they seem like they're moving pretty quickly on this. Yeah, it's, I mean, the biggest thing I notice is that when we were there, it was just the wire, the wire structures, structure. Like there's a lot more, or it's looking more solid now, right? It is, yeah. And for sure. I guess the funny thing is, without context, some of these pictures, it's like this is just a rock. Like it's just a rock. I could, some of these, I feel like I could go, I could drive 10 minutes outside of the city I live in and find the same thing, which that says a lot to, people forget this stuff. They come through, when you're going to come through this area, when it's done, everyone's going, oh, wow, it looks so amazing. It'll look like, the waterfalls, and it looks so natural and everything. But like you forget that this is all engineered and structured and everything, which is very, very startling. Actually, it's really like it's really like the Disney difference and stuff, right? Like this is why they are what they are, right? Like it's because of the details like this. So I also, though, go ahead. What were you gonna say? No, I was just actually going to ask if we wanted to talk about Not So Scary Halloween Party, but is there anything else? No, I was going to move on to that as well, because and I put this on here just because some of these photo ops that they have going on make me want to go to the party just for the photo op. Like, you know what I mean? They have some cool photo ops, man. The dancing skeletons on Main Street. The one. That is, I like that a lot. Yeah, if you've ever seen the Disney short from I think it's 1929 of the dancing skeletons, they're doing a photo thing where it looks like you're standing next to the dancing skeletons, which is very cool, right? But even more to that, though, is that this, like the way that they did the filter on this, deliberately looks like that 1930s, like grainy black and white, which again I like the fact that they're they're not just doing here's something in the picture, but it's it's well structured and it fits what they're doing with it. Yep. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I also, by the way, I just saw recently, and I didn't know this, that they were lighting the Haunted Mansion in different colors, like on the outside during the parties. I didn't realize that they were doing that, because typically the Haunted Mansion is just pretty much lights on it, Mm-hmm. They're also doing Hitchhiking Ghosts, which is always a classic, right? So yeah. And there was the other one too that I kind of liked was it's again, it's just on Main Street, but it has the moon. Not the one with the Oogie Boogie, but just with the moon in the background. Because the funny thing is that I don't think the moon ever lands in that position. You would never actually get that shot. But again, they integrated it so well into the shot that you almost wouldn't question it if it wasn't for the the bats flying in front of it.
Yeah, exactly. The obviously fake bats that are in front of it. I like the ones with like the little spirits. The one by the castle walls near Pinocchio with like that one's pretty cool too.
Now, are those? I feel like that's from. I'm gonna totally butcher the name of this from Fantasia. Is it Night on Bald Mountain?
Could be
it's the Chernobog.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Sequence. I think it's called Night on Bald Mountain, and I've got to look this up now. This is bugging me.
The Headless Horseman's always a classic, though, too. That's a good one too.
Yes, it is Night on Bald Mountain.
Okay, cool.
That's the name of the piece, and of course the whole section in Fantasia. But yeah, it very much looks like they pulled something out of that with the spirits rising up.
Yeah, these are some very cool photo ops. I know they've done this kind of stuff in the past, but I feel like they haven't caught my attention before, like this. Mm-hmm. Like, I think these are very cool. I really this makes me want to go to the Halloween party, even though we weren't planning on it. So, I
know, is that okay? That I was confused for a second. The one picture, they have the one where you're holding the Gravedigger's lantern.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. Yeah,
I'm thinking that's going to be a very busy photo shoot.
Probably, yeah. Well, that's got the colors of the Haunted Mansion. That's why I brought up the Haunted Mansion being like purple. Yeah,
right. Yeah, but and that's actually what threw me on it, was that I was looking at the surrounding of it, and I thought that there's that structure off to the left in the photo, which I thought was over by Sleepy Hollow, like looking towards the castle, because it's the same kind of design. But that's actually the cue for the Liberty Bell.
Yeah,
in front of the Haunted Mansion. So, and
then behind them is the Haunted Mansion. Yeah. So,
although it's not the only thing about that one is, it's not framed like, it's obviously framed on the people, but you can't really tell that the Haunted Mansion is in the background.
True. I would agree with that. Yeah, that one's not even really like a magic shot. Really, like the rest of these are the magic shots. It's not really a magic shot. So
yeah, but I can see this one being very popular because of the fact that it's the same as the holding the
lantern. Yeah,
the lantern from Tangled. People are going to want to do this one, I think.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. All right, so the only other thing we had for today was about Magic Key opening for renewals over at Disneyland. This is our Disneyland segment for the week. So there was a lot of question for a while about what was going on, because a lot of people were coming up on their expiration of their passes, and they had not said anything about renewals. And Magic Key's kind of been fraught with, I don't want to say fraught with controversy, but it kind of has been.
Yeah, it has. Yeah. The problem is the Magic Key is not, it's taken away a lot of stuff that they used to offer with the annual passes for locals and whatnot. So, I think a lot of people were wondering if Disney was going to drop Magic Key altogether, because they weren't, they were kind of dragging their feet on the renewals. And but now it's open, so you can renew your Magic Key if you have one.
But they are bringing back some new benefits though too, Trevor. Like, so the unlimited photo pass is coming back for some. They're adding some benefits for sure. Yeah,
they are, and that was actually part of why it was getting dragged out a little bit. Is that I think I think that this is going to be a thing for a little while. Kind of like the same problem as Moonlight Magic, right? Where we talked about how there was that one, or they like last minute announced Moonlight Magic for Typhoon Lagoon.
Oh yeah.
And this is feeling the same way. As I feel like there's a lot of things in Disney where it's like they're trying to hammer out details, or they're trying to figure out, like, does this make sense? But they don't know until they get so far into the year. And actually, this goes back to, I think, I didn't think about this until Marissa pointed it out earlier, that, Disney's fiscal year starts in October, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of these things, it's like we sit here and go, well, why are they taking so long to decide on this? And I think it's, they're kind of trying to figure out end of year stuff. and then, whether or not they can offer whatever this thing is going into the next year. So
no, it's totally
it makes sense. It's totally a business thing, and it totally, this is the, pulling back the curtain and seeing that, Disney is a business. Yeah. But I get it. But to your point, this is the fact that they're trying to offer more says, Disney's not trying to claw back absolutely everything, but not everything's going to come back because we want it right now.
Yeah. Well, and part of the controversy too with Magic Key has been around how, you have to pre-reserve, your dates, right? Like, so you have to pre-reserve your dates, and that's been an issue for some people. And of course, with blackout dates as well. And it's worth noting too, they're not selling any new Magic Keys. This is only for renewals, right?
Yes.
So, and because part of the problem is that they already have, they sold out a Magic Key basically. Like, and from everything I've, seen from people posting things, the parks have been extraordinarily busy, and this is the same reason why they haven't started reselling annual passes at Disney World, right? Like, the parks have been busy. Like, annual pass holders just kind of make the parks even busier, right? And so I get why they would want to restrict it, but it's also stinks for the, those that go often that want the ability to have those passes. I do also note in here that they're doing 20% off Disney Genie Plus service, which I feel like should be a benefit of the annual passes in Florida as well. But,
yeah, I would even like it if they would extend that to DVC as well. Kind of like
that would be nice too.
Every because they used to do the same thing with like Photo Pass and stuff as well, right? Where like you could get certain discounts, and again, it wasn't all the time. And I'm not saying like this isn't this isn't.
Photo Pass was free before with annual passes. It was included,
but there was also they've had all kinds of promos and stuff for this. Like, I guess what I noticed like years ago was that, a lot of the 20% discounts on merch and stuff like that. DVC managed to get a lot of the similar things that you would get with an annual pass. So
yeah.
Again, not saying that, we should get everything that an annual pass holder gets, but, it was kind of nice, having, a direct DVC contract meant you kind of got access to some of those things. Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But I will say, I think the most interesting thing about these, because they did tweak things a little bit, right? So these renewals are it's not, you're just not renewing into the same thing. But one of the things I noticed that even with the most expensive Magic Key option, which by the way is $1,600, there's still blackout dates. They still have blackout dates. So there's no pass anymore that has no blackout dates. Which is, if I were paying $1,600, I'd probably want to be able to go during Christmas. Just going to say that. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
But again, why? Like Disney knows full well that they don't want annual pass holders in the park on Christmas Day.
They don't. No, they really don't. No, they just don't. No.
Yeah.
I get it. Like, I get why they do it. It's just like, even with the most expensive key that you can go all the way until the 20th, and that's it. Like and then you're done until the 2nd. So, but again, this is when the parks are the busiest, and listen, Disney makes more money off of people that aren't a Magic Key or annual pass holders. Like, that's a fact, right? Like, and when they already have too much demand for the parks, we talked about their earnings call a week or two ago. They're already seeing too much demand for the parks, right? Like, they have over 90% hotel occupancy. They're too busy. And a lot of people are traveling because they have this pent up demand, and they were stuck inside for 2 years. But for those of us that go every year, it's kind of a different thing for us, right? So a lot of people are taking those once in a lifetime trips, or once in an every 5 year kind of trips. They've been taking them over the past year, over this year basically, or next year. So that's definitely clogging up the parks a lot more and making it harder for them to offer annual passes. But it is frustrating because I know. And this is the equation for me too. Like, I don't know what we're doing next year, but we're probably going to renew our annual passes because otherwise we're not going to be able to buy them, Yeah.
And that they're kind of putting you in a bad position that way,
sure.
right? Where, it makes you, it goes back to the, Disney does want to create a fear of missing out, and it does keep people, sometimes paying for stuff that they wouldn't pay for otherwise.
Yeah. Listen, we got huge value out of our annual passes this year, right? Like, and we're going to get even more when we go, in October. Like, I think based on the trips we already took with the annual passes, we basically already paid for it. But now we're going to do, 10 days in the parks, that's going to even more make it worth it. Right. But it's, it's just, we don't know what we're doing next year, but it would almost be stupid for us not to renew, not knowing whether they're going to have it or not. So. All right.
So sorry, okay. They don't offer the Dream Key. That's weird.
They don't. Yeah, they don't.
Okay. Yeah. Never mind.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, they do have, the one that does offer no blackout dates is the Dream Key, but they're not even,
that one's not being offered. Yeah. They're not even offering it. Yeah. So they're not going to be, it's literally, it's not even available for renewal. Right. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. They just basically got rid of the Dream Key. Yeah.
Okay. Well, moving on.
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, let's go ahead and wrap up unless there's anything else you want to talk about.
I think we had a great conversation today. So this
is a fun episode, I think. So
hopefully
sure. Everybody enjoys it. So even if you're not like a DVC member and you're just like Disney, like I feel like Derek and Mercer, we talk about enough random stuff that it's still fun to listen to. So
yeah, totally. All right. So as usual, if you guys want to reach out to us, make sure you fire us an email at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. We do love hearing from you guys. It's great seeing trip reports. We've had lots of listeners ask us questions and stuff, and we just love talking to you guys. So keep it coming. And if you want to find us on social media, you can find us on Facebook as Welcome Home Podcast. And you can check out the Facebook group, Welcome Home Disney Waitlist, to join in with all of our other listeners and see the conversations and everything that go on in there. And you can also follow us on YouTube and Instagram. YouTube is Welcome Home Podcast and Instagram is Welcome Home Pics, which are great to keep track of when we post stuff from the parks and do live shows and stuff like that. And if you want to help support the podcast, go to store.welcomehomepodcast.com and check out some of our different merchandise that we offer. There's shirts and mugs and fanny packs and all kinds of different stuff. And if you're looking for something a little different, you can go to patreon.com/welcomehomepod and check out the different tiers of support we have there. That actually comes with merchandise that is exclusive to Patreon, and that will also get you access to our Discord server, which is yet another way that we like to talk with some of our listeners. So, hopefully one of those things is interesting to you, and you can join in on the conversation with the podcast and everything. As usual, if you guys want to help the podcast grow, another way is to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. Those reviews help us, or they help more people find the podcast. But we also, we enjoy the reviews on iTunes because, people sometimes give interesting feedback. I don't know, Tom, if there's any for this week or any new ones that you found this week.
Not this week, but I've decided I'm going to go back far back into to May of this past year and read one.
Uh-oh.
Because Damon's not here today. So this is from Colin, bunch of zeros, 8. Perfect amount of Damon. I love the show, and I don't understand Damon's negativity is don't understand Damon's negativity is the perfect balance against the unbridled optimism of Tom and Trevor. I don't think we're unbridled optimistic, but I mean, I get it.
Yeah,
he plays the role of go ahead. Sorry.
I'm definitely, I lean towards being positive.
I do too.
Whenever I can. Yeah.
Yes. He plays the role of Oscar from Sesame Street to Ernie and Big Bird. Now, I don't know which one of you is Ernie and which one is, I mean, I think you're taller than me, so I feel like you have to be Big Bird in this situation, but
oh boy.
I don't think I can handle Damon being present for the entirety of every episode, but I love his takes on things, even when they are ridiculous. such as being a self-professed foodie who hates most food. I think we've read this one on the show before, but I just had to go back to it because it makes me laugh. So please give us reviews, guys. We really appreciate the reviews, and they make us laugh too. If you're funny, then it's even better. So. All right. So, and then also don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, just about any podcast app that's out there. By the way, if you do listen to us on Spotify, give us a star rating. You can give us 1 to 5. So give us a 5-star on Spotify too. We appreciate that. Just a reminder to our listeners, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, all opinions we express on the show are our own. So please consult a DVC representative or a Disney cast member for more information about anything we talked about today. Of course, also reach out to Derek and Marissa for more information about DVC Resale. They're a great resource. They're always willing to help. I think you guys can tell that they're fun to talk to. So huge thank you to Derek and Marissa from DVC Resale Market and World of DVC for joining the episode today. They were great. You can find them. They're easy to find. Go to DVC Resale Market on their website or call in and ask for them, and you'll find them. But also a thank you to Monera for sponsoring this episode as well. So join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion. Of course, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Do a huddle when we hit a chair. How she can cuddle is no